Hey, Matt.
Hello, Brian.
And hey, David.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, that's David Biedrzycki back there.
It's me. It's me with a blurry background, which is great because my office behind me is a mess. It looks like yeah, it's pretty bad back there. So being blurry, it looks presentable at least.
Yeah,
So it's good.
too. And David, you are a renowned author, illustrator of picture books. And how long have you been making picture books?
Let me see. Since 1996, I started illustrating them, and then around 2004, 2005, I started writing my own. So in that time from well, I started illustrating in the early 80s, but I was mainly a commercial artist doing work for a lot of ad agencies and uh, design studios and things like that. And then I met a children's book author in the early 90s, Jerry Pallotta, and I started illustrating his books part time. And then I turned around one day and said, you know what? I think I could write my own stories. So I I started writing my own stories, and basically everything took off from there. So that's what I'm doing these days.
Awesome. And you're okay with showing us some of your work in a little bit?
Absolutely. Yes, I would love to.
And you have a book on the in the oven right now that is, I think, pertinent to the subject matter at hand on this podcast and uh, other places as well. Can you share the title of that one?
Sure. The working title right now is artificial technology, but ART of artificial is capitalized. So it looks like artificial intelligence. And it's basically a story about a robot who finds out that he's an artist. And when he was, when his microchip was being produced, it received a drop of paint on it. And when got inserted into the robot, he started having these dreams about color and about really wild painting and things like that that he always wanted to share. So the story is basically him finding out how to do it and realizing that he is an artist. So that's the gist of the story. I'm going to share it with you a little bit later because sometimes I have a hard time explaining what the story is actually about unless I go and show you the story. So I'm going to give you a nice little video of how I put the story together and also the artwork and music and words all together in a bit.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, this is
Uh,
good.
and
So,
what's kind of funny is that the I did not plan this, but the latest piece of technology that I wanted to show is robot related.
Nice.
very cool.
Yeah, you guys may
All
have
right.
already seen it, but I'm just gonna.
So you're going to share with us, Brian, as per usual, and then I'll have a less creative. Well, actually, no, it's still a creative this time, and then we'll get to David's stuff,
Yeah.
David's work. Okay.
All right, cool. Share my screen here. All right. So, you know what? Let me go over and do the old share sound and optimize for video. All right. So, I don't know if you guys have heard of Optimus.
Is that Elon Musk's
Yeah.
project?
Yeah. Have you seen the latest version of that, either of you?
No, I read about it recently. I read his book by Walter Isaacson, and a lot of it was it was mentioned in that story
Okay.
about
Yeah.
the artificial technology that they're using for it. But I really haven't kept up on it.
Okay. So they just released a video showing the latest version of it. Um Matt, are you at all familiar with this?
How is it pronounced?
Optimus?
Okay, I was going to make a lame joke, but no, I'm
Okay.
not going to do the joke, and I know nothing about this.
Okay.
Please,
This
please.
is Tesla's robot that they're developing And that may look a little bit clunky, but it's actually a pretty big step forward in humanoid robotics. I mean, just the way that it could pick up an egg and not crush it, and it, it's got a full articulated head like a human being with sensors in it. It'll be able to understand what it's looking at and what it's doing. The idea is it would be able to cook and be able to do all sorts of stuff, get into a car, etc. And they've done a lot of work at hiding a lot of the cables, and all of that are all kind of internal. It's actually a pretty amazing engineering feat.
Looks pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you pair that with the multimodal AI stuff where it can understand what it's seeing and hearing and all of that. And I mean, what won't it be able to do? I guess David, we've been talking about, what will AI be able to, what jobs will it replace, or jobs won't it be able to replace? And when you start pairing it with humanoid robotics, the sphere gets bigger.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see, how far it's come in the past couple of years, because when I was actually within the past year, because I was reading the book of Elon Musk, and they were mentioning some of the issues that they were having when they were first developing, which I think was the Bumblebee, or the first one that you're showing to me, and things that they wanting it to do. Also, too, they were talking about the autonomous driving cars, which Musk has been promising now for probably about a decade and a half, I think, and all the issues that they've been getting into as far as making a car fully autonomous. And what I was reading about it was that they are pretty much every Tesla on the road has camera. Actually, every Tesla on the road has cameras that are sending back information to their AI computer. And the AI computer is basically putting in all these different combinations of issues that could happen when you're driving a car. Pedestrians walking out in front, the road signs, the stop things, people on bicycles, all these different things. And what they're trying to do is to teach the computer how to basically drive a Tesla car autonomously. And they've been having a really, really, really hard time about that. I'm just wondering, like with this technology, it looks all well and good. I mean, eventually, I'm sure it's going to happen. It's not, if it's going to happen, it's probably, it's when it's going to happen. And I find it very fascinating. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford my own robot, but that would be really cool, I think. Yeah, it's kind of cool stuff. I kind of like it. It reminds me of like when I was a kid. I mean, I thought by the time I was my age, I'm in my 60s. I thought by the time I was in my age, I would actually be commanding my own starship at some other edge of the galaxy, and it never happened. And I was always wide open when I was a kid to having technology like take me places or do things for me, or like make my life a little bit easier, and so on and so forth. And right now with it, actually starting to happen, coming into fruition, I look at it and say, well, should I be scared or shouldn't I be scared? I'm not really scared about it too much. And stop me if I keep blabbing on here, but I was listening to your podcast last week, and somebody brought up the thing about animated movies, and about like a movie like Wall-E, which is about a robot, or some of the Pixar movies. And they said that basically in the future you're going to be able not to have as many people animating the story, going through all the the digital stuff as far as creating lighting, blah 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 blah. But the thing is, what kind of struck me is like, yeah, you might not, but the movie itself was an original idea made by a human. And that's the thing that I think is the most important thing, is that somebody like you or Brian or me have an idea about something, but we're easily more able to get it implemented by the use of technology. And I like your dog in the background, by the way.
Yeah,
I think I put him to sleep back there.
No, that's the natural
As soon
state.
as I started talking, I saw his eyes getting heavy. I was like, yeah. But But anyway, that's what something that came to me about it, that I'm not going to be afraid of it. I think I'm going to embrace it. I've embraced technology as far as using Photoshop and Procreate to make my books. And if I didn't have that technology, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I do. I wouldn't be able to, create my stories as quickly as I could, or take, because I visit a lot of schools, I wouldn't be able to take my computer and my iPad with me on the road and actually create stories when I'm done with the school visit for the day. That's something that where technology has really helped me. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're coming up with. I know there's a lot of issues as far as how far it's going to go in our everyday lives, what it's going to take from the internet, what it's going to take from us creatively. But I'm interested in seeing where it's going to be going.
Have you played with much of the image generation AI systems?
Very, very little.
Okay.
I worked with ChatGPT for a little bit. I was trying to write something not too long ago, and I threw in a couple of things, and it was like, okay, yeah, that's not bad. Let's rework this. Let's put it in Shakespearean prose or something. I mean, it was just, I putzed around with it, but I really haven't done that. What I thought was really cool is the student that you referred me to, Joy Heisey, who put together my robot for my new book I'm working on, and she made actually like a three-dimensional image out of it where I could go and rotate around the robot itself and see it. And that was really, really cool, because I was having a little bit of a problem drawing the thing in different positions, and Joy really made it a lot easier for me to view it. Not necessarily that I traced what she sent to me, but just to see the way that light affects something that
Oh
I
yeah.
wanted to. I still wanted it to be like it was hand done. I didn't want it to be to my artwork in my book to look computer generated. But that really helped me. So that's what I'm hoping, that maybe AI will be moving forward, something that will help me in certain instances where I need more input onto something. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
No, that makes total
yeah.
sense.
So,
Hmm.
but I don't think I've researched it as much as you have, Brian. It seems like you're getting into new stuff every week and finding out things about out it that that I know nothing about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a definite rabbit hole, and it's also I've been doing computer graphics since the late 80s, and uh I've never seen it change this fast.
Yeah.
Every week it's just like,
It's something different. Yeah.
yeah. So
I mean, who knows
yeah.
what it's going to be like in 10 years,
Yeah.
when you think
Yeah.
about it.
I mean,
So,
I don't know. I don't know, Matt, if you have anything you want to jump up with. I have a question I kind of want to ask David about, based on what he just said.
Yeah, go.
I'm just curious. So yeah, I like your thoughts on, where the technology can go and how it can help us tell our stories and things better. I'm curious, at what point of your process would you become uncomfortable with AI doing it? Like, what part of what you're doing would you start to get like, I don't want AI messing with this, or I don't want.
I don't know. I mean, I think, well, I guess, with as far as my process, I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd have to go and experiment around with it. As far as other people in my industry using it to create stories and so on and so forth, that's totally up to them. I mean, however they want to go and do it. I just feel that the strength of originality in humans is something very, very powerful.
Mhm.
And I see it. I see it in artwork. I mean, I've seen some AI generated artwork, and it's pretty very impressive. But the thing is, I've seen work that is done, by artists on Pinterest all the time. That just, I mean, it's hand done. It's stuff that is. I mean, they do use Procreate, they do use watercolors, they do use oils, but the spirit of the creativity of that is just so strong that I mean, maybe eventually a robot will be able to do that, but I just don't think it will have the human element that, you know, we have, our innate creativity, our innate ability to maybe think just a little bit differently for everything. I know that as I've gotten older and as I started creating my own stories, my stories have gotten a little bit more out of the, out of the box, more so than just like, here's my story, blah, blah, I'm going to tell it that way. No, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something that has not been done before. And to be able to show that and to create it, and it would require original, I think, human thought and human input into doing something like that. Maybe the robot or the AI could help me achieve some part of it that I wouldn't be able to do unless I spent a lot of time working on it. But I think the original spirit and creativeness is definitely human. And like I said, maybe it will be replaced. I don't know. Right now, I feel pretty good about what I do and what other people do. I really, really do. I feel there's hope. I really feel that just think about it. Like back in and you said you started working on using the computer back in the 80s. Well, before that, like take for instance, like doing a cover or creating an ad for something, where they would send the artwork off to a photo retoucher, and basically they would paint over the photograph. And these people were very, very talented, very, very, amazing the way that they would be able to go about and doing it. But doing it digitally really created something probably better and more and easier to do. So you got to look at that and say, yeah, I mean, the quality of what was done back in the 80s with photo retouching by hand, right now, it far excels that as to what you're able to do using the computer, what humans are able to do using the computer. And I feel that's progress. I do. I feel that it is. I mean, you could be as skilled as you want, doing some of those photo retouching things. But if you have a computer and you're digitally able to take something and make it better and move stuff around quicker than you would ever be able to do using, photo retouching, I think that's definitely progress. I do. Do you guys hate me?
I don't hate you at all. No, I like what you're saying, and it totally makes sense. The thing that I have where I get a little bit worried, I guess, or stuck is one is the rate at which it's changing. So it's not like, okay, I mean, like when the internet came and when computer graphics came, it did change everything, but it didn't change everything every single day. It's like this is the rate at which this is taking over more and more things.
Mm-hmm.
And the speed at which it's changing, I am less sure of there being a point at which it's going to stop.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. I
Yeah.
think,
And then that kind of makes me a little nervous.
yeah, I think, yeah, I could see what you're saying because the rate at which it is advancing is
Never,
pretty scary, I think.
never,
Yeah.
never been. This has never happened.
Yeah. But what's going to happen, what's going to happen to us humans, I mean, is it
Right.
going to be to the point where, what are we going to do with ourselves? What are we going to, if we have everything, a computer enhanced or robotically advanced, if we don't even have to work anymore because robots are taking care of us, what is that going to be like? I mean, what's it going to be like for people who lose maybe their self-worth, to having a life, I mean, I know in my life, if I don't work, I'm one miserable son of a gun, if I don't get up and draw or create, poof, man, I'm a bear. I am, and that's something that I don't want to lose. I want to be always being able to create something. And if I could, I would love to get into telling my stories in a different format than what I do now, rather than just in books. I want to be able to have it in maybe a film type of video, a presentation with music and with words in my pictures. And if I'm able to bring that into a format where I could be able to share that idea with the world, I would be I would feel really, really happy about that, you know,
Yeah.
because right now sometimes it's the medium that is stopping me from taking what I have in my head and being able to put it out there. That's the thing that I feel like I remember. I'm sorry if I keep going on here, guys. I really
No.
am. I don't mean to dominate the conversation, but I
No.
remember like when back in the late mid 90s when I was still using paints and brushes to do artwork for my books, I was always fighting the medium. You know, like the brushes, the paint, the colors. You know, I would paint a certain way, and if I didn't save my paints, you know, in a little container, and I got distracted doing something else or going off and having work on another project, I would have to come back and try to mix up the colors to match what I was working on. And that to me, and it used to take me like hours on end. Right now, I just click on the color that I want and boom, I got it. Now, is doing something like that um, not good? I don't think so. I mean, I think it just helps me be more productive, you know, being able to create something quicker and better, and you know, while the spur of the moment is there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Totally.
yeah.
I guess what I try it away is like I like being able to take like one of my stories and then being able to just by myself make it like an animated movie out of it or something like that is
Hmm.
exciting. But then I also start thinking, okay, but then everyone else is going to do that too. So you're going to have such an avalanche of content that devalue the content, that medium overall, just because it's
Well,
going to be such an avalanche.
well, there's
Um,
there's a lot of content out there now.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
but
I mean,
but
we're
that think about that. Think about there being 10,000 times as much as there is right now.
yeah, but there's not enough time in the day to look at 10,000. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
then how do you sift through? I don't know. I'm just asking questions because
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
Sorry, Matt. I've been gobbling up all the time here.
Oh, I mean, this is why we ask people to come on,
Yeah.
because we
No, no,
hear
this
other
is
points
this
of
is
view.
awesome.
Let me ask Brian. Brian, do you have more material to share?
No, that's pretty much
Okay, all
what
right.
I've.
It's not a judgment. That's just, I
No,
didn't know.
no, no, no. Yeah, I didn't have. Uh, yeah. Other than it's yeah. I did have there was also the new Disney robot, but I don't know if we need to show that, but it's just an interesting counterpoint to the
Is it
Tesla
less scary
robot.
than the?
It's
Uh,
cute. It's much more Wally.
Wally.
yeah, let's look at that. I would like
Yeah.
to less
Okay.
scary than
Okay. Um, let's see. Let's
Optimus
see.
Prime.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, that's one thing about that robot too, is that I heard that you said that they were enclosing a lot of the mechanics of it, and that's great. I'm interested in.
Yeah, it
yeah.
does look like who was that other robot? Remember way back in the 90s?
Yes.
The
I know.
one
Yeah, I know I know what you're talking about. It's a 80, yeah, it was a movie. But yeah, so Disney's taking a different approach to the household robot.
he's adorable. He is
Yeah.
adorable. Yeah, I
I'm
like
not
So
him. I
sure I
like
would
the
trust them to make my scrambled eggs, though.
right.
yes.
I think it's great that they're fascinated, or oh, great, they're dragging it around by a leash.
I
What about AI robot rights? How dare they?
like the little twitching of the antenna there too. I just saw a little twitching back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty. What the heck was that one with the
I know exactly which one you're talking.
movie?
Short Circuit, was that it?
Short Circuit. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, adorable. Look at this. This looks like Star Wars. Remember when the
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those
Well,
black and white
Disney and Star Wars are now the
yeah.
same thing. So,
There you go.
so yeah, they're taking
Well,
a very different tact.
God,
But
these
robots
darn
in the house, in your house is that's
what
what
I always find
comes next.
fascinating about this too is the physiognomy of the robots, the trying to build a human hip spine relationship,
Mm-hmm.
having drawn them, they're not easy to draw, much less create one. And so them using more of a chicken relationship, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but what I'm seeing with these guys too is like Tesla appears to me to be making something that he wants to get on sale and in the houses quick, and therefore he makes it look more humanoid, right? This one, they're still trying to figure out, okay, look, we want to show you that it won't tip over even when we shove it. Okay. That doesn't, I want a robot's going to scramble my eggs. That's not interesting. So there, I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, all of this is really interesting to me. That one just seemed a little bit more like the designers are geeked about what they've made and they want people to see it.
It's I think it's sort of like the different approach to having a servant and a pet.
Yeah.
I like both of your thoughts on that. That's pretty funny, I think. Yeah, it's yeah, you got some good points there. It's really kind of cool to talk to you guys and see your point of view with different things. I mean, especially like the chicken
Yeah.
analogy that Brian made about the
Oh, that was
Disney
nice. Yeah.
robot. I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, my robot does not look anything like that. My robot is I don't know what you would call it, kind of maybe a little steampunk, maybe a little um I don't know. It actually is. I think what inspired me with my robot is a Dunkin' Donuts extra large coffee and a combination of an extra large coffee and the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. It kind of has attributes of both of them.
Maybe
So
we should take a look at it right now.
Yeah.
uh,
Can we see your work now?
sure. Yeah, I got. Let me see if I could share this. Let me see. Share screen. There we go. All right. There he is, right there. This is, are you able to see this up there?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is him. So what I'd like to do is give you a little sneak preview of this story. The story happened actually several years ago. I was, let me see if I could put this other thing up here too. I should have brought that up initially. Okay, well, let me bring this back here. I, um, I did a drawing of a robot. Let me see if I could. Sorry, I should have been better prepared with this. Let me go over here and let me show you something a little bit different that I could do. All right, hold on one second. Do you want to talk over what I'm doing here till I find what I'm till I find what I'm looking for? Here we go. Let me see if I
Yeah.
can bring
So
this up.
one of the things too, then, like, what is the value of having an AI pet? I guess, I mean, I guess that I can see, people with considerable amounts of money would want to have this for their child, perhaps, or, um, but in consideration of what AI can do, put into a form that can actually do things, what's the purpose?
I can think of some.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So, if you can get some of the same benefits that you get from like a real dog or cat, companionship, etc., without it messing up your carpet.
But isn't that the novelty of it though? Isn't
uh,
that the
I
oh
don't know, Brian. I think you may want to cover the ears on our pals behind you there when you say.
um,
I'm being
you can
replaced.
you could you know like we David, we watched before the Boston Dynamics put Chat GPT into one of their dog robots. I don't know if you've seen that video. So then they can change its personality on so it would go from being sort of a snobbish butler to a tour guide to etc. So you could do that with your pet. You could have it change personalities whenever you want. You can talk with it.
It's like a combination of like Family Guy with the dog on Family Guy.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
and combination of that and a was the dog in was there a robotic dog in the Jetsons? Is there a robotic dog? No, I don't think there
Uh,
was.
I don't
There
know.
was-
There's a
there-
robotic dog in Doctor Who.
Yes, yeah. So, you think about that and your dog could talk back to you. Or no, actually, isn't there's a in Up, wasn't there the ability of dogs to actually talk from some gizmo
Yeah,
that they had
yeah.
on
They
their
they
collar?
translated
Yeah,
what they were saying
actually what they
into.
thought. Would that be really kind of cool to see what the true feelings of your dog is,
That's not far off actually,
Is
because
that
AI can interpret brain patterns, and they are actually working on
what's
what animals are actually thinking.
I would just love to. I mean, there's a story right there. That is like a great children's book right there. Where your dog out of all of a sudden gets all this like technology inserted into its brain and it's able to talk about these different things that would be totally hysterical. Oh my God. Yeah, yeah. See, you get ideas all the time. But hey, let me put this up for you right now. Are you able to see the blank screen right now?
Uh-huh.
It's over here. So this is definitely a work in progress that I'm putting together. And I talk to students quite a bit about some inspirations I had growing up, and of course Marvel and Miyazaki's work is very influential, and also Norman Rockwell too. When I was a kid, my brother and I always used to look at his work and say, "Geez, how the heck could he do this?" I also like Bob Ross too. So a number of years ago, about 4 years ago, I was messing around on my iPad, and I put together this drawing of a robot doing a self-portrait, but instead of doing the self-portrait, I had him following along with the Bob Ross video. And this was just a little quirky thing that I was working on at the time. And as I was putting this together, I started thinking about maybe creating a story about this, but I really didn't know how I was going to go about doing it. And oh, by the way, can you hear music playing as this is going on? Yeah. So I put it away for a while, but then I started thinking about artificial intelligence, and I was thinking, how could I put this together in a story? And I thought about art and artificial intelligence. So what I started doing is I started putting the my sketches and my writings together in iMovie, and I went onto this website called Pond5. And Pond5 has an amazing amount of royalty-free music that you could go and buy. I actually have a subscription to it. And all you have to do is put in a keyword for like what type of mood you want the music to be, or, with symphonies, or with, even reggae music. But you could put in, like, you could just put in epic fantasy. And all of a sudden, all these, choices of different types of music will come up. So I started throwing in not only with my artwork and my words, but I also started throwing in some of the music into iMovie. And when I started doing that, it made it easier. It was almost like a different dimension as far as creating my story. So here's what I came up with. And the story starts off with in a warehouse. There's a paint company on the top part of a warehouse, and there's a microchip company down at the bottom of the warehouse. Now, this would never happen in real life, but this is a kid's book. So there's this little bird singing his heart out on top of the telephone wire. He flies into the paint company window, but there's a cat in there. The cat goes after the bird, knocking over cans of paint that drip down to the floor below onto the microchip. So ever since he was a little chip, robot knew he was different. The chip gets inserted into a robot. Are you able to hear the sound effects, by the way? You hear the sound effects? Okay, yeah. Upon being assembled, he was sent to a warehouse. There, robot lifted his hand and walked all day. Now, a lot of this artwork is not done, so you're familiar with it. His friends hurried about getting their work done. Robot tried hard to keep up, but he had a habit of daydreaming. After he having trouble with his boss, who warned him many times to stay alert. Although he daydreamed, his best dreams were at night when everyone recharged. His dreams were big, colorful, and grand. He wanted to share them, but he didn't know how. One day, something stopped him in his tracks. And unfortunately, it stopped every robot behind him. The robot had run out of chances. His boss sent him off to be reprogrammed. But he took a wrong turn, and he ended up outside. Outside, it was the same as it was inside. Everyone was in a hurry. The robot tried to keep up. Some things fascinated the robot, like fire hydrants and butterflies, and some didn't, like dogs. But he was amazed by the lights, the music, the dancing. But it was the museum that thrilled him the most. It had the stuff his dreams were made of, big, colorful, and grand. He stayed there all night until his robot heart was so full it almost burst. But in the morning, he had to leave. On his way back, something caught his eye. An outdoor paint class. At first, this girl was startled. Then, she gave him a brush. it's done. So he ran back to tell his friends about it. Unfortunately, he lost it. So I don't want to share the whole thing with you guys, but that's it. So this is him describing music and dance, and he tries to describe art, but it goes nowhere. They just can't understand art. So he takes him to the museum, but that doesn't happen either. So, this is the story that I've been working on, and it's one of those things where, when I found out that I could actually put music into a format where I could have my artwork and my words and add the third dimension as far as music goes, I felt that it was a really powerful way for me to tell a story. And so this is something that I'm hoping that maybe with artificial intelligence, or maybe making my life easier to develop a different format to tell my stories, that this might be, artificial technology might help me even more in the future, where I could just, instead of having somebody go and animate all these different things, I could actually just tell the computer or whatever how I want things to be put together. And I don't know. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But right now, this is the story I'm working on. It will, excuse me, it will be out next fall. I'm putting together like a little promotional thing going on with it. The student that you referred me to, Brian, from Huntington College, Joy Heisey, is that the way you say her last
Yep.
name? She actually put together a generated 3D robot that I'm actually going to be able to send off to schools, and they will, with a 3D printer, be able to print up the robot for me too. So that could be
awesome.
something kind of cool. So
Very
anyway,
cool.
that's what I have for you guys. Let me get.
So David, are you exclusively an author illustrator right now? Like, you only illustrate your own stories?
Yes. Yep.
Very cool. That is not easy. I saw it must be it was on the internet, so it must be true. It's like only 6% of the people in the world that come up with a literary idea actually sit down and write it. And then only 0.03% of them actually get it published. So that to me is, yeah, I went to art school. Maybe I got the numbers wrong, but that sounds pretty close. Do you have can you show us any of your other work? Like, do you have like just covers of books that you could click on? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
As a matter of fact, let me see if I could share this right here. Go up here and see if I could share this. This is a kind of retrospective of my books.
And by the way, as a person who utilizes Procreate, I just want to acknowledge the Procreate master skills you've got there, because these are all done in Procreate, right?
Yeah, they are there. You could see, I think when I showed you the beginning of the artificial intelligence book, my idea, you could see the progression of the sketch on the iPad from, the initial idea, even the pose that I initially had for the robot, rather than looking from the back like you would in the Norman Rockwell picture. I kind of had him standing in front of the easel, and then I said, nah, I said maybe I'll just use that pose that Norman Rockwell used for a self-portrait. But you could see that whole progression of the sketch all the way through to the final. And I kind of find that very instrumental too when I visit a lot of schools throughout the school year. And one thing that I found out is that kids are more engaged when you have moving pictures, and when you have music. Instead of listening to me like in the old days, I used to have a slide projector, and it'd be my my mundane voice up there saying, then this is what I did, and after that I did these sketches, and then a rough draft. It just would put kids to sleep. And these days, like, take for instance, let me do you see a unicorn up there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of the things I do is I show them this thing. And I said, this is a drawing I did of a unicorn. I said, my idea for this, I say to them, is, just sketching out a unicorn. So I started sketching it, and I tell kids, the first colors I chose were not very good. Purple and pink don't go very well together. But the technology that I use in the iPad, I could change colors fairly quickly without having to redraw the whole thing, which saves me a lot of time. And I also tell them too that I found out something, that my writing and my drawing are pretty much the same. When I have an idea for a story, I don't keep it in my head. I put it down on paper. And I don't care if I make mistakes. I don't even care if my idea makes any sense. The most important thing for me to do is to get it down on paper. And then I could go and I could work with it. I could revise it, make it better. Well, it's the same thing with this unicorn. I started off with a sketch, started adding color to it that wasn't working, hit a couple dead ends. But then eventually I was able to go and just use all the gimmicks that I knew as far as creating a good looking unicorn. But the thing is, I tell them that this did not happen as quick as what you saw here on the screen. This actually took me 15 hours to create. But it gives them, first of all, an idea of what the idea was and how I went and implemented it, and the correlation between that and how I write my stories too, where my ideas come from. So that's something that I love to share with students when I do a presentation at their schools. Speaking of unicorns, this is a book that came out about 2 years ago. It's actually doing pretty well. Invasion of the Unicorns. And I know he looks like a toy unicorn, but he's actually an alien spy from another planet. This is the first book that I wrote and illustrated back in 2005, Ace Lacewing Bug Detective. But since then, I've done about 30 some other books. And I think I told you I've worked with another author, Jerry Pilata. And between the books that he has written and the books that I have written and illustrated, I've done over, I think Artificial Intelligence is going to be my 33rd book. This is one of my newer ones right here called Sumo Puppy. And of course, the newest one you just saw, which is Invasion of the Unicorns. So let me just get this off of here.
Very cool. Very cool.
Those look so good.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
Thank you.
Love it.
Thanks. Thank you. But
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to now show the thing that I was going to show. Then this is, one of the things that we do have been doing. How long have we been doing this now, Brian? 3 months?
Yeah, this is our 14th episode.
Okay.
Wow.
So, all right. Yeah. Yeah. So we've developed a pattern, as people do. And so I'm just finding that, yeah, a lot of times I've been bringing in other articles. Brian's been bringing in most of the stuff, the lion's share of creative stuff. And so I tend to bring in stuff that's a little bit broader. But this one actually isn't all that far away from creativity. As a matter of fact, it's spot on. I don't know if I need, yeah, I'll share my screen. This is an article from, what's it called? ArtNet. And I'll go ahead and share the screen just a moment. Thank you for allowing me to share the screen, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens here, which one we get on. There it is. Okay, so this is an article that came out from, can you guys see the screen?
Yep.
All right, so we cannot fight AI, how art schools are navigating the challenge of artificial intelligence. There was just a couple of quotes in this. First one is, it feels like the birth of photography all over again. This is from Mike Essel. He's the Dean of Art at Cooper Union, the heavy-duty school there in New York. And then there's Tim Flattery. He is the Dean of the College for Creative Studies in Detroit. And with, what's that? What do they always say? Like, I have to be absolutely honest. What do they say that when you're in there's like a term that makes you sound really cool. Anyways,
Forthright.
I taught at CCS up until last semester. So his quote is, he doesn't have they don't have a general concern. Wait a minute, let me get this right. He's the provost. He's not the head of the school. He's the provost. And yeah, CCS has studio artists, video game creators, storyboard artists, and so forth. And he said, humans will always be needed in the design process. Drawing a parallel with the then ongoing Hollywood writer's strike, he noted that the writers wanted an acknowledgement of the fact that they have emotional intelligence. They don't want producers to think they can just write a prompt and call themselves a writer, unquote. Okay, and then one more. This is from Nate Harrison, who is the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. We cannot fight AI. Students are already using it, many very organically and intuitively and naturally. How can we equip students with smart approaches to using AI? So I had the reason why I bring it up is because in my perspective on what's going on right now, there's the issue of, if I say to AI, please make me a colorful baby bird, it might show me something like this. It just might do that. And there are people who will believe that this is a colorful baby bird, when in fact, I think this is it here. No, is this one? Is this it? That's actually what a baby bird looks like, right? Nature wants them ugly and camouflaged so that they don't look yummy. However, how many viewers, if I put this baby bird up on, let's say, Facebook or any other social networking, how many are going to say, well, I like this one better, this must be real? And that to me is one of the issues, that AI is no longer the ugly stepchild, not able to create believable renderings. AI is better than me at creating better, believable renderings, right? And I guess I'm pretty full of myself believing that. So that's one of the issues that I come up with my concern about AI. And one of the other things too, and I'm saying this to David, is that I've learned a lot in having these conversations with Bryan and other people over the past, and our other guests and so forth, over the past 3+ months. And so it's a little bit difficult. I don't want it to be like a gotcha. When I start to say, when somebody brings to the table your hope for what AI can do, I have seen enough of it that makes me think I don't have a lot of hope for what it can and will do in the hands of the people who do our industry right now. One of the concerns from that I know about the writers' strike was, it wasn't just the writers' strike, it was also the actors. They, all of them, very many of them, when they sign a contract, actors now, they have to get a body scan, and they sign away the rights to their body scanned, face included, and therefore, who needs them as a in-person actor anymore? AI is becoming more and more adept at actually manipulating everything so that it looks absolutely believable. The term uncanny valley, where when you see Carrie Fisher in the last Star Wars, and she's an AI created image, there were a couple of times when you look at it and you go, that's weird. That doesn't look like something, a real person. AI is way past that in terms of creating still images, and it's not that far away from creating moving images that way. The last couple of things I'll say in regard to that is, what I'm hearing in the schools right now is an abdication for responsibility for what this thing is going to do, because they're not telling students the degree to which AI could take over all of the creative jobs. From what I've seen AI write, it's better than anything perhaps that I could write too. I'm simply trying to say it's better than most people, most human writers. And in this capitalist system, ain't nobody gonna care. And so in the interim, we've talked about this like gap year, when AI starts to infiltrate all of the business aspects of everything, not just creativity, but especially in creativity. Where does everybody go? When AI can create in 7 minutes a full playable, good computer game, which used to take a team of people 6 months, why would somebody with the money to make a computer game and promote it care about paying a bunch of people? Where's that going to go? And the last thing, sometimes when we share this with people, that, well, that hasn't happened yet, it's not happening. This year, one of the primary science fiction magazines, writing magazines, stopped taking submissions because they couldn't tell what if the submissions were AI generated or not. Further, I spoke to a professor out on the West Coast, and they are at his college up to their elbows, ears, this is my ear, that's my hyperbole. They're trying to figure out how they can understand the difference between AI created material and student created material, when students bring it in and say it was theirs when it was actually AI. And so if there's that confusion going on right now, when you add that to money making, I don't have hope for this. I don't have hope for my business, what I do. That doesn't mean I don't have hope for me being creative. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. in developing stories and pictures, it probably will change. Maybe the people who have been published for years and years won't have an issue. They'll be able to float above it. But what do I say to children who talk to me and say, Matt, I used to draw stuff for people online. Nobody wants me to draw anything anymore because they're just using AI. And AI is really good. To me, these are the concerns that I have.
Yeah, I think they're legitimate concerns. I really do. I try not to think about it, but it's yeah. I think like what I said before. It's it could be a good tool. My son works for a company called Jasper, and they are a company that works with AI to help companies basically develop their brand, and from everything from whatever statements they're putting out to the public as to their websites, they're using AI to make it more consistent. And it is a application that that they've been working on. I've talked to my son about it numerous times, and I could understand a little bit of it, but I don't understand the whole thing as to what's going on with it. But it seems it's here, it's now, it's what's happening. I think, yeah, I don't know, what to say. I mean, it could be frightening, but it could also be really, really cool. And I think, me being a pretty optimistic person, I think I might look at it and say, well, I think it could be really cool, and just try to work with something of it too, rather than thinking about, oh, it's gonna annihilate my job or whatever like that. I don't know. I think like I said, being an optimistic person, I'm hoping that I could find my niche in it and work with it. If it comes down to me working with it, I have to see what value would add to my to what I do. If it does add value to me being able to express myself quicker and better, I think I might go in that direction. I really do. I'm not going to hold back and say, well, I got to put the work into it, labor through this, and so on and so forth. Whereas, I could have a computer with artificial intelligence help me and make it much better, or maybe even beyond my wildest dreams better. Who knows? That's something that I myself, I think, might look forward to doing.
You're muted, Brian.
I think it would be really interesting to see you start to play around with it and see what you think, and see how you might actually use it. Have you tried any of them much, or just tried integrating them into your workflow, or what you want to do?
No,
I think it would be interesting to maybe, if you do that, to have you come back and tell us what happened and how and what you think.
Well, I have a couple ideas for books that I'm going to be putting out there, and I think one of the things that I was thinking about, Brian, and I didn't tell you this about last time, is that I'm thinking about going more traditional with my art. Maybe more watercolorish or more painterly type of thing, just to get away from the iPad and from the computer, and actually have something of substance in front of me. For the past several years, working with an iPad, which the screen is about yay big, and then when you're done with your work, you don't place it over here on an easel, or you don't put it like with the stack of all your other. It's in the little context of your iPad, and you don't really appreciate it until you see it in physical book form. Where like I just I'm having an exhibit right now of some of my work at a local gallery here in town, and I don't have physical paint. What I have is prints made up, and the prints are huge. I mean, I got them printed up like 20 by 30 inches, and just to see them in that context is like, oh yeah, I did that, and here's another one, and here's another one. Rather than looking at a little screen, that's something too, that something, just to have something physical in front of you rather than on a screen. That's something I want to shoot for, and maybe I will take what I've done physically and create something digitally from it, so on and so forth, and see what maybe AI could add to it. Maybe I can make an animation out of it quicker than I could ever do before without having to learn all the processes of creating a animation. Maybe if I tell it to do this or do that or bring this over here, bring it over there, it'd be just like being a director. Maybe I am a director. Maybe in my books that I'm working on right now, I am the director and the photographer and the writer and the producer of all this. And maybe using artificial technology will help me be able to do that better and quicker. Not necessarily, quicker is fun. Yeah, fine. But the laborious work, I mean, working on the robot book I'm working on now. I mean, I'm spending hours and hours and hours and countless hours working on the artwork for the book to make it consistent throughout the whole story. And I love it. I mean, I do love it, but it's laborious. It's to the point where, I don't want I wouldn't want artificial technology to go in there at all and take away the little scribbles I do on each little part of my artwork. That makes it look like it's made by a human, and it's my work, and I wouldn't want a robot to do that. But taking that and maybe creating a story with my artwork, with movement and with music and with a story, that might be something that I could really look forward to, to producing with artificial intelligence. Did I make any sense with that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
ramble, man. I ramble, huh?
I'm trying to, as you're talking about that, what's going through, well, do you want to know what's going through my head?
Yeah.
Just
This guy does not know what he's talking
No,
about.
not at all. Actually, no, not at all. I'm just because I've been around the animation industry so much, I start to think, well, what would an animator think of that? And then I'm like, okay, so if 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 a writer said that they would want to use artificial intelligence to illustrate their entire book, how does an illustrator feel about that? I don't know. It gets just the number of, I guess this is a little bit to Matt's point, but the number of jobs and creative industries that replaces is, I don't know what that's going to do, I guess.
I think
I
it
don't know.
gets back maybe to what I said before about, the idea of, the ideas have the human spirit and the human creativeness to it, but using it using the technology in a way that enhances it. Do you know what I mean? It's still a human idea. Will the robot or will the artificial intelligence, will they make up a story? Will the story be really good? And from what Brian was saying about some of their writings, it sounds like it is. But I don't know. Maybe I have more hope for the human race. Maybe I do.
On the other hand, I am also, what you're saying is, like, I'm extremely intrigued by technology in general. The other thought that was going through my head is, it would be interesting I don't know if you've played with anything like Pika Labs or Kyber or any of those AI systems, but you could take a page from right now, you could take a
Uh-huh.
page from your book and it could make a 4-second animation out of it. So like when the robot was dancing and showing the other robots about dancing, you could throw that into one and it'll make them dance.
Yeah.
And it'll
Yeah.
be a little looping thing and it'll be really cool to see. So yeah, I mean, it's not far off from doing exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And I could see that being a part of, um, when I found out that adding music into, my story creating, with the music and the art and the words together, I found that, boy, this was really, really cool. And if I could grab like some little animations and kind of put it into the format of my story, just think of all the doors that'll open up,
Oh yeah.
not,
Well,
I mean,
and that'll elevate the book trailer to another
it could elevate the
level.
book trailer, but it could also be a package. I mean, it could also be something that I could sell rather than just like the physical book too. It could be a story on an app that you could look at,
Yeah, yeah,
and
interactive
I mean,
thing.
people were saying actually that, with books on Kindle and books, on computer, that the print books were just going to go the way of the dinosaur, and that never happened. Books are still selling very, very well. Physical books are selling very, very well. Um, but I just look at it and say, I have stories to tell. I do have stories to tell. And the best way for me to do it is maybe through technology and working with the technology to, enhance the creative part of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I want to step in too and say, as I said before, one of the things that's been happening for me anyways is um, I'm learning about a lot of these things, and it's why I wanted to have this conversation with Bryan and with people like yourself, David. Um, but one of the things that's happening is that because I've seen so many things, when somebody comes on and they bring in a hopeful message like the one that you're bringing, David, in regard to the developments, I'm like, oh yeah, well, he'll listen to this. And I feel that's why I said it's like a gotcha thing. I don't want you to like, I simply want that statement that I made to be heard in regard to the hopeful statement. AI can be something absolutely wonderful and something that can really, I believe, expand where I can go creatively.
Mm-hmm.
It also, I think, is a frightening element right now in a lot of different ways, including there are countries using it in a military fashion. And that, again, that's an abdication of responsibility. They tell AI, figure out what is a target and you go after it. And then they don't have to be responsible for what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So these, it's not one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. So I'm happy to hear that you have this perspective about it, because I can get like, wow. And the last thing I'll say, well, for this moment, is that AI is not going away. It's not going away. I'm not trying to stop it. I'm simply saying, can we have a conversation about it?
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, there is one more thing. The issue of at one point, some like the college dean said, this is, when photography came in, people thought it would be the end of drawing. From my perspective, from what I've seen, this is not that relationship between photography, or like when the radio came in, people won't want to listen to each other anymore, or when TV came in, they won't go to movies. And we've heard that a number of times. From what I've seen, this is not that. When a computer is able to, or when an application is able to apply billions of computations per second, utilizing what it's learned from human expression, it can make something that looks just as believable and sounds as believable as what I make, and is even more palatable. As I said, that silly metaphor I made of the colorful bird, that's just the tip of the iceberg in comparison to where I believe this is going.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and we've actually heard things like, well, AI will just be the democratization of creativity, meaning that people who can't draw and have been envious can now do this, and they're not going to utilize people who are creative, who need you.
Well, yeah, it's
Right?
true.
So
It is true.
those are it's not, like I said, it's not this one exclusively and it's not this one exclusively, but can we have a conversation about it? So I hope that in hearing you, I hope that you felt too like, I'm not trying to squash anything that you're saying. I hope that you don't feel that. And if you do, let me know, because who else is going to want to come on here if that's the case? But I do want to have both of those points brought out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think it's a disclaimer. I think on what I feel about things, and it's I I think. Oh, what could I say? I think back in like the 90s when I was doing advertising work, I kind of saw the writing on the wall with illustration being used in magazines and for advertising. And if you take a look, advertising illustration really took a big hit back in the mid 90s because they were using computer digital photography, and a lot of things that were like product illustration or something like that that was being done by hand was being replaced by digital photography. And I looked at that and said, yeah, okay, well, it does it better than I could, so let's move on to something else a little bit more creative, or something else that'll that I could do, that I will have creative control over it. And that's the thing where maybe this is the next step up to that. Maybe this is something where I look at the technology and say, okay, the technology could do this. How could I take my creativeness to the next level. And, would it be something that, a computer to go and do it? Well, let's see what you got, computer. Let's see what you could come up with. Is it going to be something as totally imaginative, as creative as what I could do using that technology? Or is it going to be something that, okay, it's made by a computer, but is it out of this world? Is it like something that's mind-blowing? Maybe the artwork that you see is mind-blowing. Maybe you look at it and you say, whoa, this is amazing. But you look at it and say, okay, yeah, that's fine. But let's see what we could do. Maybe humans have of ability to take things one more step more so than what it's being fed into the artificial intelligence, because like you said, it's just grabbing from all these things that have already been made. But think about stuff that we could create in the future that's not even imagined yet. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Do you know does that
Yeah.
make any sense?
Yeah.
I'm going on and on and on and on. But
no.
yeah.
Well, I want to ask you one thing that I didn't while you were showing the unicorn. So you backlit it with a warm light,
Mhm.
a painting that you did of the unicorn. Do you use reference when you're rendering? Did you use reference for that backlight? Because it was really convincing.
I used no, well, I used I think it was a piece of artwork I used, and I grabbed color from it. And it was of I think it was of a polar bear, I think. And the polar bear was lit from the back. And
Yeah,
I
it was
love the color. I
cool.
love the color thing for it too. And I said, well, you know what? This would be really, really nice. And, I mean, I've done so many different types of artwork in YouTube, Brian. Like little gimmicks that will make things stand out or make things pop when you're drawing them. So those are things that I look back on my advertising days, and those are some things that I've taken with me from that time until to now. The ability of figuring out different lighting and different ways that light or color affect different things. So those are things that I've learned throughout the years, and artificial technology probably uses it quicker now and probably even better than what I do it at now.
One more question. Did you use the paintbrush, the Procreate brush that you had clued me into, Bonobo, for that one?
Bonobo, that's the one with the texture.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bonobo. No, well, I used that in artificial. Let me see which one I have. Hold on. I think it is it's the one that makes it look like it's grainy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just check it here. I have my brushes here. It is the Bonobo chalk.
Yep.
Yes. And that one I use it quite a bit because I use it as an opportunity to add value with black and white, and also to if you have a layer that has your like an image on it, you could actually just go and lock the layer in, so you could actually just work with that shape, and you could add value to it using that chalk. It's just like it's almost like when you used to use Frisket or something. I don't know if you've ever used airbrush, but how you would frisk it off and just kind of use it like that. Which when you think about it, when I used to do advertising work, I used to use a lot of airbrush, a lot of sponge, a lot of brush work, and I would frisket things off. And hit it with a little bit of airbrush and pull it off and look and say, maybe a little bit more. Oh, a little bit too much. And with the thing with with the computers, like you look and say, yeah, it's great now, and it saved me a couple of hours.
Right.
So
Right.
those are things that I look at and say, yeah, it's definitely really helped me a lot. And who knows, maybe one of these days they will try more things out on with the artificial technology with drawing and painting. But right now I'm kind of happy with what I do, and you know maybe I'll just take it to a different level by using that one of these days.
Well, how are you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good. I got to run in just a few minutes.
Yeah, you got to go. When is your book coming out? Can you say the name of it again, David?
Artificial technology. Let me see if I could just bring the
Yeah.
artwork up on the screen. It is going to be out in October, I think, of next year. Hopefully, hopefully if I get it done. I'm still working on it, but let me just bring it up here a second and I show you what the cover.
Yeah.
I didn't knock you guys off the screen here, did I? No. Okay.
Not yet.
Share screen. There it is, right there.
Great.
That's it,
Very
right
cool.
there. So that's
And I
the
love
one
the monochromatic and full color
Yeah,
position. That's great.
it's fantastic.
yeah, it's it's a labor of love, you know.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I could talk to you guys about art for hours and hours and hours, but you know, I remember like looking at MC Escher's work when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, and the way that he applied graphite, or no, actually he used to do lithographs when he was doing his artwork. He used to do lithograph prints, and I really like that type of fuzzy texture that he used to get with his work. And when I was working on this book, I thought, you know what, that might be a really cool texture to put in here with the artwork. So that was definitely an inspiration for that.
Would you consider coming back when you do have it complete?
Yeah,
Share
absolutely.
the
I'd
work
love
with
to.
us again.
I'm a,
Also,
I'm a shameless self-promoter. Yes.
well, yeah, absolutely. But to talk more about the art aspect too.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you, David.
Hey, thank you for having me here. I hope I didn't absorb the whole hour and a half that we're on here, but it
Not
sure
at
was a
all.
lot of fun, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Yep, that's why we wanted you on. This was great.
Hey, I'll see you in a week, Brian.
Yep.
If not sooner.
Yep.
Peace
Yep.
out,
All
everybody.
right. Take care, guys. Have a great Christmas
Yep.
Bye.
or holiday.
See ya.
Thank you.